What the hell did Delcy Rodriguez mean when she said this attack had Zionist undertone? Okay.
This is not a campaign to leave in place the system that's currently in place.
Let me switch.
But we either have, but I mean, the criticism of us is, all right, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Senator Kaine raises serious concerns about the length, cost, and secrecy surrounding U.S. military actions connected to Venezuela. He challenges the lack of public accountability, questions the legal basis for the strikes, and highlights growing risks to U.S. troops, democratic oversight, and America's standing in the region.
Thank you. We started this operation on September 2nd with the attack on Venezuelans in boats in open waters. And now we are nearly 5 months in. Next week is 5 months. Finally, a public hearing. Wow, how novel. Finally, a public hearing in the Senate or House. This is the first public hearing we've had. 200 folks who are on secret designated combatant lists have been killed. U.S. troops have been injured. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent. An armada amassed. The announcement of a new Monroe Doctrine, which does not land well in the Americas. Democrats have been asking over and over again, can we have a public hearing? Can we share what we know with the American public? Finally, a public hearing. But even that hearing is constrained. I'd like to talk about the complete weakness of the legal rationale about the strikes on boats in international waters, but I can't because the administration has only shared it with members in a classified setting. I can't tell you why the domestic rationale is hollow and the international rationale is hollow. I can't tell you why the rationale for attacking Venezuela is hollow because, again, the rationale has been shared with us in a closed setting. I can't share with you the grim details of the murder of shipwrecked survivors in open waters that we all know because we've seen the videos and we've questioned the U.S. military officials involved about legality because the administration will not release that publicly. They released the boat strike videos publicly, but they hid the second strike that killed struggling shipwrecked survivors, even from Congress, for nearly 3 months, but I can't really talk to you about it. I can't talk to you about the weakness of the targeting criteria being used to attack boats in the Caribbean and Pacific. I would encourage any colleague, if you have not, go to the classified setting and ask for a briefing on each strike and ask this question: what was the evidence that there were narcotics on that craft? You will be very surprised if you ask that question about every strike. And so even in this first public hearing, 5 months in, there's a lot we can't talk about. If it was such a righteous operation, why is the administration and the majority in this Senate so jealously protecting the details about it from being revealed to the American public? I have Virginians deployed in this operation. I can't answer their families' questions. Thank God we're having a public hearing 5 months in. This is supposed to be the greatest deliberative body in the world. Mr. Secretary, who won the July 2024 Venezuelan presidential election?
Oh, I think the whole world would acknowledge it was Edmundo Gonzalez.
Who lost that election?
Maduro.
And his vice president, Delcy Rodriguez. Now, you have made the decision, the administration has made the decision in the aftermath of the attack that Delcy Rodriguez should be leading the country. Let me read something that President Trump said about her on January 14 about Delcy Rodriguez, who lost the election with Maduro. We just had a great conversation today, and she's a terrific person. I mean, she's somebody that we have worked with very well. Let me tell you what Delcy Rodriguez said the day after Venezuela was attacked. Governments around the world are simply shocked that the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela is the victim and target of an attack of this nature, which undoubtedly has Zionist undertones. What the hell did Delcy Rodriguez mean when she said this attack had Zionist undertones? I'm assuming you have no idea.
Oh, I have an idea what she meant. I mean, what's the question?
What does she mean when she says this attack has Zionist undertones?
Look, I'd have to answer, but let me understand in a broader context. No one here is telling you that this is what we want to see in the long term.
Okay.
This is not a campaign to leave in place the system that's currently in place.
Let me switch.
But we either but I mean, the criticism of us is, all right, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm ready to switch now to talk about somebody that you
Thought
know
you raised
well.
an important point. If I can get back to it, I will.
You know well and you respect well Maria Corina Machado. Here's what President Trump said about her, won the Nobel Prize in the aftermath of the attack on Venezuela. I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect. What did President Trump mean by that?
Yeah. First of all, I've known Maria Corina for probably 12 years, 13
have.
years. Have dealt with her probably more than anybody, as much as anybody on this committee has for certain. And I'll be meeting with her today, in fact. And we met with her a couple weeks ago. So here's the reality, though, and I think what the president was pointing to, and I think Maria Corina would acknowledge this.
The only way I talked to her last week.
Well,
she's very disappointed in those comments, and so are Venezuelans in my state.
Okay, well, she didn't share that with me or with us, but I would say this to you. The president is acknowledging is that today, as it stands, whether we like it or not, the elements of control in that country, the people with the guns, the people that control the guns and the institutions of government there, are in the hands of this regime. So we either, on the one hand, we're getting criticized. Some people are saying we don't want regime change. On the other hand, we're being criticized for not undertaking regime change.
Mr. Secretary,
what we're trying to trigger here is a process of stabilization, recovery, and transition to something where Maria Corina and others can be a part of.
You
that's what we're working
have
for.
respect for her, don't you?
Sure.
Okay, great. My last question is this.
And so does the president, by the way. He met with her. They had a great meeting. And he actually he spoke to her last week in my presence.
Here's what he said after that meeting. We're talking to her, and maybe we can get her involved in some way. I'd love to be able to do that. Maybe we can do that. We'll set the terms for this Nobel Prize winner having a leadership role. Last question is this. You talked about the speech in Davos. Here's something the president said in Davos. I'm helping NATO until the last few days. When I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They're not here for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. Our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland, so Iceland has already cost us a lot of money. President repeatedly mistook Iceland for Greenland, right? We're not mad at Iceland. They haven't cost us any money. The president just mistook the two countries for each other, correct?
Yeah, he meant to say Greenland, but I think we're all familiar with presidents that have verbal stumbles. We've had presidents like that before. Some made a lot more than this one.
Nice try. Thanks. All right. Thank you. I thought he did well.
Senator Kaine delivers a forceful critique of how the administration has handled the military operation connected to Venezuela. He points out that the operation has been ongoing for nearly 5 months, during which time U.S. troops have been injured, hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent, and hundreds of individuals on secret targeting lists have been killed. Despite the scale and seriousness of these actions, Kaine emphasizes that this is the first public hearing on the matter. He makes clear that meaningful public accountability has been delayed far too long for an operation of this size and consequence. Kaine repeatedly stresses that much of what lawmakers know cannot even be shared with the American public. He explains that the legal rationale for the strikes has only been provided in classified settings, preventing open discussion of whether the domestic and international legal justifications are sound. He describes those justifications as weak and hollow, yet he is unable to explain why in public because of classification rules. This secrecy, in Kaine's view, undermines trust and prevents Americans from understanding what is being done in their name and with their tax dollars. He also raises disturbing concerns about specific incidents, including strikes that allegedly killed shipwrecked survivors in open waters. Kaine notes that while some strike footage was released publicly, other critical evidence was kept hidden, even from Congress, for months. He argues that this selective disclosure creates a misleading picture of the operation and shields serious legal and moral questions from scrutiny. By encouraging colleagues to request classified briefings and ask what evidence actually justified each strike, Kaine signals that the targeting standards themselves may be far weaker than the public has been led to believe. Kaine connects this secrecy to the larger issue of democratic accountability. He reminds listeners that this body is supposed to be the greatest deliberative body in the world, yet it is being kept in the dark about key facts. He highlights that he has constituents deployed in this operation and that he cannot fully answer their families' questions. This, he argues, is unacceptable in a democracy where Congress is supposed to play a central role in authorizing and overseeing the use of military force. He then turns to the political consequences of the administration's decisions in Venezuela. Kaine points out that Nicolas Maduro lost the Venezuelan election and that opposition figures were widely recognized as the legitimate winners. Yet he challenges the administration's posture toward leaders associated with the losing regime. He highlights inflammatory statements made by Delcy Rodriguez following the attack and presses on how such rhetoric reflects poorly on U.S. policy and messaging in the region. Kaine's questioning suggests deep concern that U.S. actions may be empowering or legitimizing figures who lost at the ballot box, while undercutting democratic forces. Kaine also raises concerns about mixed and confusing signals from the president regarding Venezuelan opposition leaders. He points to statements that appeared to downplay or undermine respected opposition figures, even as U.S. officials claim to support democratic transition. In Kaine's view, this inconsistency weakens U.S. credibility and creates confusion both inside Venezuela and among international partners. He stresses that leadership transitions and stabilization efforts require clarity, not mixed messages that undercut those fighting for democratic change. He further ties these issues to broader concerns about U.S. foreign policy messaging, including comments related to NATO and basic factual errors about allied countries. Kaine uses these moments to underscore a larger pattern. Sloppy communication, mixed signals, and poor consultation all damage U.S. standing abroad. Allies and adversaries alike watch how the United States handles its commitments, its facts, and its decision-making processes. Through his remarks, Kaine presents a clear message. Large-scale military and foreign policy actions cannot be run through secrecy, confusion, and delayed oversight. He argues that Congress and the American people deserve transparency, honest legal explanations, and timely public debate. He makes the case that democratic accountability is not a luxury, even during complex operations. Without it, the risk of mistakes, mission creep, and long-term instability increases. His comments reflect a deep concern that the current approach is eroding trust, weakening oversight, and putting both U.S. credibility and U.S. service members at greater risk.